Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm VelvettB, and thank you for joining me today for this build. And we're going to be building Parkside Place. So Parkside Place is a lot in San Sequoia, and San Sequoia is the world that came with Growing Together. And that's, one of my fave packs. I love that pack, and I love the build buying it, and I love the world. I think the world's absolutely lovely, and the milestones that you got with the infants. It just changed my whole playing with kids as, thing in the game, and I thought that was awesome. Do I think some of this should have been base game? Yes, but nonetheless, I do think it's an awesome pack. So Parkside Place, I just kind of had an idea that I wanted to build a modern family home in San Sequoia, because I hadn't done it in a while, and it was actually one of my fave worlds to build in. And I thought, well, you know what, let's just take a trip back in time and build a family home, in fact, in San Sequoia. So this is what the idea behind this build is. So you can sort of see I'm working on the roof here. What I originally wanted to do with that roof wasn't working. There was on the angle at the front, there was just like a slight difference in height between one angled roof and the other, and I just couldn't get it to match. As you can sort of see there, I'm just like, it's just not matching. Gah. So I ended up having to do a bit of a workaround, and I think that ended up being okay, because I just ended up having to build like a little insert for the house, because otherwise there was a big gap under the roof, and I really did not want that big gap under the roof. So yeah, building this little insert on the side ended up working out really nicely, and I really like the creative shape of the house as well, and I think it ended up looking quite neat. So I was, these problems, sometimes you come up with these solutions and it ends up being a little bit better than what you originally, thought it would be. So that was all good. So I'm just doing a little kind of porch area over on the side, just using fencing to draw out a cool little lattice work there on the side. It's something I like to do now and then, and I think it looks pretty, so that's why I do it. And if you're not sure how to actually do that, what you just need to do is have a roof area or a platform area that you build, and just use a flat fencing. So I've used the Strangerville fencing actually, but you can use, there's a base game fencing that you can use to do this as well. And yeah, you just use either a platform or flat flooring on the second level, and you just draw with your fencing, and then you just hit the sledgehammer button or K, and you just delete all the little bits in between, and that allows you to be able to create that little lattice work effect. And you can create your own trellising. You can do all sorts of things with that little trick, so it's quite cool. Anyway, it's coming together, the old build. So I'm just working on the colors, and I really wasn't sure on what colors I did want to do with this build, but it is a limited pack build, and good lord, what packs did I use? That's a great question. I know I used Strangerville randomly. I just kept up using Strangerville because I used the fencing from Strangerville, and then I think I used Get Together, base game obviously, Eco Lifestyle, Get Growing Together, Seasons, yeah, oh well, I will probably edit in at the start what the packs are that I used, so it saves me having to rely on my memory. But it was only a few packs, so it is a limited pack build, which I think is cool. So there's no kits, and I don't think there's any stuff packs off the top of my head, so it does make it very download friendly on the gallery, I hope. Anyway, fingers crossed. So as you can see here, the colors I chose are coming together. So I'm going with the wallpapers that came with the Growing Together pack. So that is the blue clapboard, the stone, and also around the entrance you can sort of see that grey sort of slat effect wallpaper. That's from Growing Together as well. And actually, I really love that wallpaper. I did use it quite a lot when the Growing Together pack came out, but I haven't used it in a while. But I think it's got a real cool modern look to it. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to use it today, and I did. And I think trimming that all with the black, it gives it quite a dramatic effect, and I really like how that all looks together. So I was quite happy with that, and also the way that I use the windows, again, just bringing those pops of black through. I can't help myself sometimes when it comes to using black. I do love using black in builds. It's just one of my favourite colours to build with. I think you can do a lot with it, but I think it's just pretty as well. It's just me. So the windows that I'm using, good question. I know I'm using like the long flat ones there. Those are from Eco Lifestyle. I'm trying to think what those curved ones are from, but I can't for the life of me think which pack those are from. But I know the little tiny curved one is base game, but I don't know if the larger ones are base game or not. But I know the flat ones are definitely Eco Lifestyle. And you can sort of see the colours coming together with the dark brown flooring there, which I think is a really nice contrast to the blue and works really nicely with the black as well. And I'm just using some of the trellises that came with, I think it's Get Together. And those are one of my favourite trellises, and I really like the contrast of the green against the house as well. It just adds a pop of colour, which I think is really neat. And it does work really well because I've used the hedge fencing. So, you know, that green actually you do see that green throughout the build. I had trouble getting that full into the fence, and I don't know why. And then that gap wouldn't fill, and I was just like, okay, you're just going to be difficult. But that ended up being a good thing because I ended up getting creative with the hedge fencing and adding these little pops of larger hedge. So this is just a base game hedge, and I've just sized it up by about 1, I think it is, and just used it to really break the flatness of the grass, or the hedgy hedge. It's not really a grass hedge, is it? It's just a hedge. And I think it worked out really nicely. And I did like a couple of curves around the pool, which I thought was really cute. Just added a bit of shape, something a little different. And you know what? I have never, not that I recall anyway, I've not in recent memory used this flooring. It's got quite a strong pebble effect to it. And I don't know, I just, for some reason, I've always found that a little off-putting, but in this instance, I put it down. I was like, you know what, I actually really like the texture of this, so I ended up going with it. And I think that pebble flooring, I'm going to say everything's from Get Together at this point, because it seems to be possibly from Get Together. I can't quite remember that one, but the swing set itself is from, oh gosh, I'm really having a memory fade today. I don't know. I know, it's Growing Together, isn't it? It's Growing Together swing. Boy, oh boy. Doing really well today, aren't I? And you know what? These plants, I love them. I don't know what it is about those little plants. They're, again, from Get Together. But, you know, you can have them in 1 high, 2 high, 3 high. The little bubble, I don't know what you call them, the little bubble plants. And I just love the way how, I don't know, I think a lot of people would use them in like more formal gardens, but I think they look really nice on a modern build. I don't know what it is about that, but I really do like the way they do look in a modern build. So I'm just lifting up some plants, and this is the base game yellow low-lying flower, and I'm just adding that to the top of the trellis work that I did, just to add like a little bit of an overgrown and a pretty effect over that. I don't always like to do that trick in builds, because I do find that when you're game playing, it kind of just sort of floats there, if that makes sense. So if I'm like on the bottom level and I'm, you know, with the sim, you know, the plants are kind of just floating there out the side of your vision. I don't know, it's just one of those choices that you make between the outside aesthetic looking really good and then the playability of it, I guess. But I think it's something that you can ignore and just use it, or if you don't like it, you can just, you know, delete them. But that is something that I do consider when I'm thinking about the building, because I do like my builds to be playable, or I do like to try and make them playable anyway. So I do take that into consideration when I am building, but sometimes just with something that I want to do just kind of weighs out over whether or not it's going to be a little annoying when you're playing. The choices you make as a builder. So Life and Death is definitely one of the packs that I'm using in this build. I do love the modern bits and pieces that you got with that pack. This is me just working up the stairs. It did take me a little minute, but I got there in the end. And now we're going to be working on the floor plan, so just how that all sort of comes together. So it did take me a little while just to figure out that side. The side that I did, there's a kitchen, dining and bathroom on the one side, and it just took me quite a lot of fiddling around, as you can probably see here, to kind of work out how I wanted this to kind of be laid out. It was just a bit of it because I had the stairs there. It ended up being quite a little finicky area, and I just wasn't happy with it. I kind of wanted it more open, and it just wasn't coming together for me in terms of the floor plan. And sometimes floor plans are like that. They're just kind of like, you know what, we're going to make your life difficult. And we're not going to come together easy. But that was the case in that corner. I just, it was a little bit of a struggle working that out, but I got there in the end. And so downstairs you've got the living room, dining, kitchen, and I think possibly 2 bathrooms, and I think there might be a bedroom downstairs as well, and there's a couple of bedrooms upstairs, as well as up in that top area is like a little music / hobby room, which I thought was cool. It's really nice for skill building when you're playing with a family in this. And I started with this bright blue inside. This does change, so you'll see that evolve as we go along the color of the build. I initially was going to go blue on the inside, as you can see here. I'm still working on the layout of that room, but I do not stick with this blue. And you'll see, it just honestly, it took me a good long while before I really settled on what color wallpaper I wanted. Because it is a limited pack build, I did actually have obviously a limitation to which wallpapers I had available to me for this build. I actually quite like the light blue against the dark brown wall flooring. So I actually quite like it, and I probably could have stuck with that. But it's just when I got around to kind of furnishing and what color furnishings I want to go with, it just ended up not being quite as harmonious as I wanted it to be. So I think that's why I ended up fiddling around with it and changing it. But as you can hear, this is me starting to fiddle around and change it. So I'm kind of like, not sure I really love that dark blue with the bright blue. So I just wasn't in love with that, and it just wasn't quite clicking for me. So that's why I ended up changing it. And this is, again, not the final wallpaper. It goes under so many changes. It's funny. Anyway, as you do. But you can sort of see Life and Death is starting to feature really heavily on the interior. So that's going to be like your couches and your chairs, and it's probably going to be the dining table and the kitchen. I just absolutely love that set from Life and Death. It is gorgeous, and I felt like the dark blue was a really nice match for the house and the color of the house. So I was like, I'm going to run with it. It's got a really nice color palette, that set. This is a family home, so I did try to add plenty of little family details around the place. And just like little bits of kid clutter around and things like that. I did think about that and how it would be good for kids to live in. You just kind of want to have the presence of the kids felt in the house, and I did try to think about that as I did little different areas of the room. So this room here, so I didn't have a bedroom downstairs like I initially thought, but so this room here is quite a large living room, like it's really big. So I kind of added like a little study area to this room as well, which you'll see come together shortly. So I'm just working on filling the shelf up because I wanted to make it look like it did have some and did have some bits and pieces on it. So just adding some of the base game books there. Those books are just fantastic for shelving, and they fit really nicely. As you can see there, I used the towel rack from the bathroom from base game, and if you don't have the cube from High School Years or from Dream Home Decorator, the towel rack from base game is actually a really good alternative for moving items onto shelving. So just so that you have it at the right height, because if you're using 9 or Control 9 to lift things up, they don't always sit at the right height. And yes, you can move the shelving around sometimes, but it's actually a lot more accurate to use either the cubes or that towel rack just to alt place the items onto the shelf. So that's just a little tip there. If you don't have those two cubes, use the towel rack from base game, and you can actually pop your items on there and then holding alt slide it across. So just make sure you line up the towel rack at the right height, and you'll be able to do that little slidey thing. You might be able to see that again in a minute because I'm doing more shelf work there. There we go. So I've lined it up on the shelf, and I'm dragging the items across there and then doing it again, items across there. And that's just a quick, easy way to fill up a shelf. And yeah, base game. So if you've only got base game only, or only got limited packs, that's a really good tool for using the old alt slide to fill items on the shelf. So you can sort of see there's a little cluttered corner there for the office. So I've used a lot of the Strangerville pack there because I remembered that I had the Strangerville pack because I used the fencing. I was like, you know what, I'm actually going to take advantage of having the Strangerville pack in this build because it wasn't initially going to be, and just use the little bits of clutter that are available from that pack. So I have finished downstairs. I think, oh no, I have not finished downstairs. What am I even talking about? I haven't even finished half of the downstairs yet. So I'm just switching the colours around, going with a lighter brown. Just it's a little bit of a contrast pop of colour. I found there was like a couple of instances where this light brown was running through the build, and you know what? I'm going to embrace it and just bring in that contrast against the dark brown of the flooring. So that's sort of how that kind of evolved. So this is a entrance area here. So just keeping it pretty simple. I did struggle a little bit with the rugs, and that's one of the areas that I do find a little tricky when I am doing limited pack builds, is things like paintings and rugs. If you don't have some of your favorite ones, particularly if you're not using kits, because some of my favorite, a couple of my favorite rugs are from kits, but my favorite rug, okay, I admit it, it's my Fuzzy Fuzz rug from the Industrial Loft Kit pack. Loft Kit pack, good lord. That rug is just my ultimate favorite. So this is where I realize what color wallpaper I want to go with. Finally, I settled on that lovely wood, that wood wallpaper from the Eco Lifestyle pack. And I just love how it's got multiple colors in it, and it's got such a richness and a life to it. I just really enjoy that wallpaper. I think it's super pretty. It looks really good on the exterior. It looks really good on the interior. It just works. I did really struggle with then deciding on which wallpaper and flooring I wanted to use in the kitchen and from there the bathrooms as well, because I wanted to have maybe perhaps a tile on the floor and a tile on the wall, and I could not for the life of me just decide or find the one that I really liked that would work really, really well with the rest of the room. As you can see here, it was a journey. I did get there in the end, but oh my, it just was a struggle. I just was trying bricks. I was like, man, maybe we could go with like a brown brick, raw concrete, and then I ended up going with stone. And then once I decided on the stone, the flooring was a lot easier. So I've just used like a kind of a stone tile on the floor as well. And then to bring in the brown into the room, I used the brown swatch on the counters, which I think ended up being like a really good balance. And I really like the way that sort of grey kind of works naturally with the rest of the room. So I thought that, I don't know, I really like how that came out, that little decision there, and then I was like, no, we're not going to do that kind of kitchen island, because I did want a kitchen island, but then the space wasn't there for it. So this is me just sort of working that out and creating like a little kitchen island space coming straight off of the dining. And I did want something on that end, and then I just ended up putting like a little end table on the end, actually, which I think worked out really nicely. And that was something, a piece of furniture that I used in the hall area, so I think that kind of made a lot of sense to use it again in the kitchen area. So I did, as you can see here, I'm using my little trick of sliding things across using the base cane towel rack for the right height, and just filled up the window area and did, like, you know, lots of little bits of kitchen clutter. I had quite a lot to choose from. Now I usually use like the Home Chef Hustle pack and the Cool Kitchen pack. They have it's stuff packs. Those are really good for your kitchen clutter, which does make sense because they are 2 kitchen specific stuff packs. So, you know, totally makes sense that you would have some awesome clutter with that. But I was not using those 2 stuff packs in this build, so I had to find a little bit of different clutter to use, which I think is a good thing. And, you know, part of the reason why I do really enjoy building a limited pack build is that it forces you out of your comfort zone a little bit and forces you to use perhaps some of the items that you might not otherwise think about or use that often. So yeah, I do really appreciate that I could use some different items there. I like that. And I think that's part of why I do like doing base game builds and things like that, because I guess it's the challenge of really getting creative with your building and how you want to build something. Or not how you want to build something, but just getting creative with how you build, because you don't want to just have it looking like a plain old boring old base game house. You know, you want to make it look like it's not just base game, it's something more than base game, even though it is just base game, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. But anyway, this is not a base game build, but it is a limited pack build. And again, even with limited pack builds, it is quite nice to get creative with, you know, the things that you choose, the pieces that you choose, or the way that you do things. So you can sort of see I've gone through and done all of the bathrooms. And I don't know, I think a lot of people like to skip over bathrooms in speed builds for some reason. I watched a few speed builds kind of when I was away on holiday, as I was, I didn't really have a lot of time to watch a lot of YouTube. I thought I'd have a lot more time to watch, sit there and watch some YouTube and watch some builds and, catch up on some Sims YouTube, and I really didn't have time. But I had a little bit of time and I watched a few, and it was quite interesting that, people choose to just sort of skip over some of the bathrooms. I kind of get it, because, bathrooms can sometimes be a little repetitive, because people will do the same kind of things. I don't always do that in my bathrooms, but I don't usually skip over my bathrooms either, I guess. But it does make sense if you do have a longer build to skip it over. Why am I blathering on about that? I don't know. But anyway, I went yellow in the little toddler's room, because there is a toddler living in this house. Because I put in like the little toddler kiddie pool and the toddler slide down on the outside, which I think was a really good indicator that a toddler lives here. And so I just made sure that I put a toddler room in here. And I love the yellow. I think that's beautiful. I'm using, I believe it's the Eco Lifestyle toddler bed. But I brought in pops of blue in this room as well, just to continue the blue theme that is happening with this build. And I think that worked really nicely. So moving on, this is going to be a double kids room. So you're going to have 3 bedrooms. And you know what? I want to say there's 5 bathrooms. This is why I put the information at the start of the video, Velvet. But I haven't done that yet. I'm just recording the voiceover. I haven't done the editing part of it yet. Or that part of the editing. Anyway. the nonsense coming out of my mouth today. So yeah, kids' room. So this is quite a large bedroom for the kids. So I decided that I would put 2 singles in here and quite a lot of activity stuff. So I mean, I would have loved this room as a kid because there's just so many little activities in here. So I made sure there was a bookshelf, there's plenty of toys, there's a computer for studying, and I'm using the Growing Together beds, by the way. I was going to initially put in 2 computers. I did put in 2 computers. I forgot I did that. So a computer each, there we go. For studying, so perfect. As they get older as well, it can be turned into like a teen's room. But yeah, using the Growing Together bookshelf, the Growing Together desk set, and the Growing Together beds. It's actually quite nice to dig into some of the Growing Together pack for this, which some of these items I don't really use a lot, like the bookshelf or the desk. So it is nice to pull them out of the dusty depths of my Build By catalogue. So I did want to have like a little something else in the room, so I'm adding like a little kids TV and like a little TV nook using the egg basket chairs from high school years. And then I'm adding a game table in here as well, because I thought, you know what, they can sit there and they can play games. It's going to be, super user friendly and lots of activities in there just to keep the kids entertained. And then on to the last bedroom. So this is the master bedroom. So again, this is kind of, I'm bringing the blue through, and then you'll see the colors of this build kind of evolving, which I think is really cute. And I really like this cute idea of the little hanging lights from Lovestruck. So Lovestruck is one of the packs that I'm using. And I used those in the windows and just hung them in the windows. And I thought that was a really cute idea. I really like those little pearl lights from Lovestruck. They're really pretty. And this room evolved to have pink in it. I wasn't expecting that. When I put the bed down, I was kind of thinking dark blues and stuff, but then it just, I don't know, it's just one of those things where I was just flicking around with colours and then pink came out. I don't know, it's just one of those things where it's just there. It's just evolved that way and I ran with it. Why not? Pink. So I tried to bring blue into like all the other rooms, and then I get to the master bedroom and it's just like, yeet the blue, we're going pink. But I think it's pretty. And putting the bed on the angle is something a little bit different for me. I normally wouldn't do that because I like to have like your night tables in beside the bed and that sort of thing. But I couldn't do that with the bed on the angle. But I thought, you know what? Stuff the little tables on the side. I am going on an angle, just doing something that's quite dramatic and quite cool. These lights. I don't know. What I was thinking with this is that I wanted to create like a little romantic kind of oasis from the kids. So this is kind of this part of the bedroom is what I was thinking for this, is like, just in a romantic oasis away from the kids. So, they're a couple, they're in love, they've got 3 kids in the house, and they don't get a lot of time alone together. So I wanted to create a spot for them where they could be alone together. And I'm just thinking candlelight or pretty lights. This is just another one of those instances where I'm like, I just really want some little tiny fairy lights, and we just don't have them in the game. But I worked something out. So what I've done is I've actually used the Life and Death lighting and shrunk it down and lifted it up a little bit, and just used that as the little hanging light in our little romantic table nook. And I think that ended up working out really nicely. So there you go, just me getting a little creative over there. So we are coming to the last part of the build where we have a look at the screenshots. But I'm just finishing off the top area there, just adding a little bit of decoration to the walls. And then that's going to be around about our build, I believe, which is really cool. So I want to say thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, etc. And leave me a comment. Oh, we haven't done the upstairs. Oh, yeah. Whoops, I forgot about that. Okay, never mind. But you can still like and subscribe. We're going to do a little music room up the top here. So this was a decision between doing it as another bedroom or adding like a little activity area. And I thought, you know what? let's do an activity area. I thought that would be cuter, and you know, something a little bit nicer for the family. They can build their skills and have a little hangout spot and really get into their creative side. So this is me just working things out as far as colors. Again, one of those things where life was a struggle as far as colors go, and just adding the vertical slat wall. I can never remember the name of it, but it's from Eco Lifestyle. I know it's vertical, and I think it's got slat in it as well, but what the rest of the combination is, I don't know. But I'm just doing a bit of just creative shelving there, so I'm going to add like a whole lot of clutter along that wall, which I thought is cute. And we've got plenty of musical instruments. There's definitely a musical theme in this area, which I think is nice. And again, I'm just using my old slide thing, just like little bits of, you know, home life and clutter and things, just to make it feel like it is like a little family room. This is me remembering about the fact that I forgot the alarms and stuff, like the thermostat. You know what? I just remembered that I completely forgot the smoke alarm and the thermostat in a build I did yesterday. Whoops. I've put it up on the gallery as well. Oh, you know, I hate that when you just like remember something you forgot to do in a build as you're watching another build, as you're talking over, you know, doing a voiceover for it, and it's just like, oh no, I forgot the alarm and the smoke alarm and stuff. Oh well, it's fine. It's what it is. Whoops. But anyway, this room is coming together. Just getting like a little easel in there. I'm going to have a little art area, and just using the locked items from that game there. But we are on to the screenshot, so I'm going to leave you guys there. Thank you so much for watching again. Like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you, guys. I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.